Communication is key. Holy shit. I feel like enough people don't.
Communication is alpha.
Communication is alpha as fuck.
Alpha as fuck, dude. You want to see some manly shit? Tell your wife how you're feeling.
Hello. Welcome to Time Well Meant, the podcast where we're still trying to figure out the logistics of slamming a revolving door. If you're new to the podcast, we like to talk about a couple different things, the goings-ons of the internet. We like to talk about video games, and most importantly, we like to talk about mental health and how that relates to our personal lives. I am Silas, and today, as is every other Wednesday, I am joined by just an amazing and wonderful and sweet and gorgeous human being by the name of Kirby. How are you today, sir?
That was so much less aggressive than you've been in previous episodes where you just like growl at me and shit in the intro.
I'm trying to tease you. I'm going up and down. I'm trying to throw you off and never let you catch my stride. You know what I mean?
You know, always keep them guessing. Usually I'm zagging.
Exactly.
No, man, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, man, I had a rough day yesterday that I might touch on here a little bit, but I'm doing good, man. Standing strong. How about you?
Yeah. It's funny because I had a rough day. I think it was yesterday as well. It was yesterday for whatever reason was just a rough day all around. I think for everybody. I had a friend of mine reach out who was also having another friend that reached out to me who was also going through some rough time with some family stuff, and it just, I don't know what it was about. Something was in the air yesterday. I don't know what it was, but
Bad
things
mojo.
have seemed to have settled today, at least for me. My issue was my car battery died, which is always fun. Anything having to do with cars is always.
Tell me about
it. Yeah. But my car battery died. We got that fixed today though, so thankfully that was the only thing, and it was pretty easy fix. I'll tell you, one of the things that I was surprised about, and one of the things that I've been surprised about in the past couple of months, is the fact that I didn't realize like vehicle maintenance was so easy. Like at least some of the more topical stuff, like changing your air filter, changing your windshield wipers, changing your battery. Like those things are surprisingly easy. And I've done them all myself this year because I'm trying to save money, and doing it yourself, like, why the fuck did I ever go? I do know why I went to a mechanic's, because I was lazy, but
Yep. Even I've been told, and I've done it like once long time ago with my dad, like in the garage with me. Changing your own oil is not terribly hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, batteries, tires, brakes, dude. Most of that shit's fairly easy.
Yeah, if you got the time,
as long as you have the tools, man. You need a good jack.
The
Fucking
tools.
around with them little scissor jacks.
No. I go to my girlfriend's dad has a whole shop that he has that every tool that you can think of, and so if I need anything specialized, I go to him. So
good
for him. But you had go ahead.
I was just gonna say, on the vein of car troubles, I had a day planned out for myself yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy 16 released yesterday on the 17th. And I had taken the day off work because I'm a goddamned adult and I can do as I please. And I had the PTO, and I found out that it's going to reset in January. So it was like perfect excuse taking this day off. I'm going to sit at home in my pajamas and play Final Fantasy all day.
Hell yeah.
Wake up, and we found out that someone broke into my wife's car overnight. Luckily, they didn't steal it, obviously, and there was nothing of value in the car. They literally, like, took everything out of her glove box onto the floor. Like, I don't know what you're going to find, like, napkins and receipts and shit. But they tried to hotwire it, so, like, the steering column on the underside of the wheel, they ripped that down. There's, like, wires and shit hanging out. But, I mean, ultimately, it's all good. I think we spent, like, $150 and got it fixed yesterday.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
It's because of my wife, dude. I gotta give her mad props. I called like 2 dealerships, and one of them was like, I'll see you in a couple days, and I was like, cool, sounds good. The other one was like, fuck off, I can't see you for 2 weeks. And I was like, I mean, that's it, babe. I called everybody I know. And she's like, unacceptable. She called 6 more dealerships.
Oh my
until
gosh.
somebody until one of the guys was like, "Yeah, I got time today. Get up here." So she like
Get up
hauled ass like
here.
an hour away, but
Wow.
she got there, got it fixed, all good.
Damn.
Um, yeah, man. So it was kind of a rough day. Didn't go to plan, but uh, it is what it is.
Did you get to play Final Fantasy at all?
I have not played Final Fantasy for a
Ah,
single minute.
dang. That's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
but just as a FYI, if anybody listening to this has a Kia, like a newer Kia car, there was a recall on the anti-theft device, so you might want to contact your local dealership.
Hmm.
But yeah, ultimately everything's fine. Just like with your battery, everything's fine. But goddamn it, there's a kink in your day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That sort of thing. And the thing about it is too is like especially when you have a day planned out and something gets in the way of that.
I had it planned out for a month, bro. A month in
Yeah.
advance, I was
And
planning
it
this.
it goes beyond like like even when you get it all settled, even when everything's good and you're like I don't need to do anything else. Like I've done everything that I can do. It still just ruins the mood, man. It
Yeah,
ruins everything that you had built up and what a great day it was going to be. So that really sucks, man. I know when you messaged me about it, I was like, oh, that just fucking sucks.
yeah,
So I
dude.
know you were so hyped about Final Fantasy. So
Exactly like you said, man. It just put such a damp on my mood. It was like 7 p.m. last night. I finally had time to sit down. We ate some dinner. Like everything's worked out for the most part, whatever. And I sat down on my computer and I was like, I could play it, but just gonna have to go to bed soon. I don't get to, my plan, is just sit down and just dig in, just have
yeah.
nothing. Nobody will talk to me. Nothing will interrupt. So I don't know. I could have played. I really could have. It was my own choice. I'm not blaming anybody
No,
besides fucking
and
thieves.
yeah, it's super annoying, and it's one of those things too that I think that even if you had sat down to like enjoy the game, it would have really put a damper on it and been like, yeah, I'm just because it's all you're gonna think about. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
this fucking, like if something bad happens in the game, you're like, fuck, man, this fucking, it just it shit compresses and
amplifies.
stacks
Yeah.
up, amplifies. It's a great word, and it just makes it that much worse. So it's probably best that you didn't play. But then you look something to look forward to for like this weekend or well,
I do.
yeah, yeah. So for later, because it's not going anywhere. It's a single player game, right?
Yep,
So
yep, it'll be
there
there.
you go.
I
It ain't
do.
going
I do have
nowhere.
the thought in the back of my mind. This is kind of like a modern gamer problem, where if I don't play it soon enough, then I
Uh,
was stupid and I bought it at full price. If it goes on sale next week, then I'm the idiot that bought it last week. So like, if you spend full price on that, it was $50. But if you spend full price on that, you gotta get in and get it while the getting's good.
yeah. I thought you were gonna. I say the thing about it is like when I think about it from a much different perspective of like if I don't get it on launch, then people on like TikTok or Twitter or whatever are gonna spoil it for me. You know what I mean? They're all because if you're part of those communities or
Yeah.
interacting with those communities at all, I've definitely been spoiled on some when I bought the because I didn't buy the Elden Ring DLC immediately, and so I didn't want to be spoiled on any of the bosses. But I was like, I'm gonna wait because it's a whole story. But anyways, and so I had already gotten spoiled on like some of the big bosses that I didn't want to know about. It's like,
Yeah.
man, all right, well, whatever. It's my own fault for not playing it immediately, I guess.
I mean, that is kind of an advantage of it being Final Fantasy 16. It came out a year and a half ago, technically, so all
Oh
that shit's
yeah.
already come and gone. I did see like a few articles talking about how it's running on PC and things like that, but I've avoided it. I
Mm.
avoided it for a year and a half, man. I think I'll be fine.
Yeah, I didn't realize that like there's a couple other games like uh God of War Ragnarok is coming out tomorrow. Actually, the port
Tomorrow, I knew
is
it was
coming out
coming. I
on.
didn't know it was tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow on PC. I just looked at that and I was like, man, that's kind of cool because I've been wanting to play the remake of God of War for a while. I just never got around to it. I don't know why. It's been on sale a number of times, and I love the original God of War series. I played
Dude, God of War 1 and
2 and
2 on
3.
PS2. Woo!
Oh man, well the thing about it is I could never beat. I was so terrible. I could never beat 1, but then when 2 came out, I was able to beat 2,
Nice.
and then I beat 3 as well. Um, and then of course when the remakes came out, I was like, oh, these look so cool. I don't have a PS4 though, or PS5
Are
or whatever
they
it came out on,
are they
and
remakes? I thought the ones that came to PS4 and
they're
PS5 were like
or they're like
reboots.
reboots. Yeah, reboots
Yeah.
the
Okay.
the right word. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I reboot is what I was thinking of. My brain is all over the
No,
place.
I get it.
But yeah, so the reboots, I should say. I just never got to play them yet, and so then I saw tomorrow Ragnarok's coming out. All right, tomorrow. Okay, I should say tomorrow as of the day of us recording, which would be the 19th.
So by the time you hear this, it's out.
it's out. Go play it, I guess. I don't
Everybody
know.
already beat it. You're missing out.
Yeah, they're gonna spoil it for me, even though I've already seen a bunch of stuff about it. So, Um, but yeah, so but dude, I want to talk about. I know that you want to talk about this. I think this is probably a good time to bring it up. You know, that definitely had some rough shit go on this week. But was it? I think it was last week. You had something pretty awesome happen with you and the fam.
Yeah, dude. So not this most weekend. It would have been the weekend that our last episode came out.
Right.
That Sunday night, one of my favorite bands in the world. I might hear me say that a lot, but one of my favorite bands. They're called Norma Jean. Another band that's been around for like 20 plus years, and I've listened to them since I was in high school. Love them. Seen them. I think I've seen them 5 or 6 times. I counted this up recently, but they were coming to town, and I had a VIP ticket. And the original plan was me and my wife were gonna go. And then when we started to think about getting a babysitter, to my surprise, my wife she said, "Well, what if we take the kiddo with us?" And I'm like, "Sold, dude, done." I bought that ticket before she could even rethink that sentence. So I got to take my 11-year-old son to his first metal concert.
Hell
And
yeah.
it was awesome, man. He was so excited to go. Just so excited to get in and see the crowd and see a concert, see live music, be in that environment.
Hell yeah.
One of my favorite parts, as soon as the first band starts playing, they're maybe like halfway through a song, and he's like trying to get me to lean close to talk to me because he knows it's loud. He had earplugs. I'm a good dad, earplugs. Um, he's like, "It's so loud, I can feel the sound on my clothes." And it kind of like, dude, it like warmed my heart. I remember like, oh yeah, I was like 14 or 15. I went to my first concert, and I remember like, dude, you can feel the bass. My shirt's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
wiggling. um, but yeah, ultimately the fun part of that was the first band I'd never heard of. They were okay. They were pretty good actually. The second band was a really like hardcore straight edge band. Um, and so during the first band, it was not as lively, not as rowdy of a band. And we were off to the side of the venue by a wall. And I was like, I'm kind of in front of my son. So he's good. He's by the wall. The crowd, the craziness should be over off to the side. We should be safe here. And he's about midway up. He can see. It's good. The second band comes up. And we're still in the same spot, dude. I shit you not. They played one guitar riff and the audience exploded. And like, people got pushed into me, and I'm like holding myself on the wall to not squish my son into the wall. And we're pretty quickly like, we got to get out of this one. Nope, moving on. Get him out of there, like back to the bar. He's fine. We watched that band from afar. But then the third Norm Jean, my band, came out.
Yeah.
And there is a second floor at this venue that we went to. And as soon as I got in, I walked up there and was like, cool, I got a sweet spot, nice and safe, good view for the kid. After a few minutes, there's a whole crowd of people up there with me when I went up there. After a few minutes, some guard comes up and is like, "Oh, second floor is closed," and booted us back down. So I was kind of like stressing throughout the whole show. I was like, I gotta find a good spot where he can see because he's short, bunch of crowd, but I don't want him to be, near a mosh pit. He's a little guy.
Yeah.
So Norma Jean comes out. They play 2 songs, and I just kind of thought it, like weighed my options. I was like, hold on a second, to my buddy who's with us, and I just walked up the stairs again and just stood there for like, I don't know, maybe a song, half a song, I don't know, just stood there. Nobody said anything. Nobody even looked. Nobody said anything. So I walked back down. I was like, come on, guys. We went upstairs, and then my son just sat and watched the whole concert from upstairs. He had the perfect view, had the time of his life. And then after I started that trend, other people started following us up there. Nobody ever said anything. It's like the last band is playing. What are you going to do at this point? What's the point?
Yeah, true.
So, dude, it was fantastic. He got that view.
Oh, yeah.
He had a good time. There's one specific Norma Jean song that he knows and loves, and they were playing it, and he's just like jumping and pumping his fists and screaming, dude. Oh, it warmed my little metal heart.
Hell yeah.
That was a fantastic experience. Norma Jean, great band. If anybody has never listened to them.
Hell yeah. That when you told me about that, I was like, and then I think you posted pictures, or maybe your wife posted a picture on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was just like, it's one of those things that I think that's going to be one of those things that he like holds on to forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, right? Like I've been to multiple concerts, but the most memorable concert I have is my favorite band of all time, my favorite rock band at least, is AC/DC. I've loved AC/DC my entire life. And when I was 15, I was going through like a really hard time. I was, is right around high school. Like I think I was a freshman or a sophomore, and just really, kind of going through it, not enjoying the whole experience. But my dad was like, "Hey, we're gonna go on a trip. I'm not gonna tell you where we're going, but we're gonna go on a trip." Sure enough, we we drive from where we were in Texas to Oklahoma to Tulsa, and he gets
Yes.
out and he popped the trunk open and he has all my AC/DC shirts on. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna go see AC/DC, bud, or we're gonna go see AC/DC." And dude, he was
Oh,
like, I was like, "What?" And and it was one of those things where like, man, we had these solid seats in this huge stadium watching my favorite band of all time. Like it was something that I will never, no, nothing will remove that moment. And I think that that's kind of going to be the same for him, where it's like, man, just that. And your first concert too, like your first big concert, your first that feeling of like you can feel the music. Oh, there's nothing like it, man. It's nothing like it. That's crazy though. I'm
dude, and
really glad
he
he got
got
to
the
have that.
full experience. He was in the crowd, got pushed around. Like as
Yeah.
soon as that started happening, I was like, no, 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 we got to get you out of here. But
Yeah.
he got the experience, and then we got it. And then my other thing is like, dude, I want to mosh. Like I love to mosh, bro.
Yeah.
And so once I had him upstairs, nice and safe and sound and far away from danger, standing with my wife, supervised, dude, I took my hat off and I put it on his head, and I was like, "See you, kid." And then I went
Watch
downstairs,
this.
started, and yeah, dude, he was watching. I would look up, and he's like, giving me thumbs up, like I'm doing something cool. And then at one point, I went back up there just to like make sure they're chilling, and catch my breath because I'm old. And it's like, or my son, edit that out. My son
Gotcha.
is like, my son says he's like, Dad, go crowd surf, go crowd surf. And I was like, dude, you crazy kid. No, no, no. There was people, but I'm like, nah.
Oh man.
I'm a little too big for that these days, I think. Maybe
Yeah.
not. I don't know.
Mm, I think well, it depends on, I guess, the crowd and the receptiveness. I know I saw a video recently of some guy who tried to crowd surf at some concert, and it just there's plenty of videos out there like that where it's like someone tries to go for a crowd surf, the crowd's like, please no, and then they just hit the ground.
That's how I broke my finger at Violetta's murder one time.
Oh yeah.
It was a woman of great proportion, and she hopped off the stage, and it was like the Red Sea parted in front of me, and I put my hands up like, no, dude, bent my finger back.
Damn.
Good times. Good
Good
times.
times. Good times.
But man, yeah, dude, he got the whole experience. He was stoked. He even got X's on his hands because he's under 21, and he wore those like a little badge of pride to school the next day. I was like, "You go scrub them off," and he's like, "They won't come off, but they're kind of cool."
Yeah, that it is a cool story to be able to be like, I went to my first metal concert. Check it out. Like, oh man,
I wonder
that's
how
really
like
cool.
I don't know how that is publicly viewed. It's not he's in the 6th grade, but he's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
He's a good
He's
kid.
fine.
It's good grades.
He's good kid. Hey, good kid. That's so cool, man. That is so good. It's very I think especially nowadays it's hard to. It's not hard, but it's one of those things that I think that maybe a lot of people reminisce on like their younger days and the sort of impactful memories that they have, and having those memories be built, you know, within that sort of like family unit, and like being able to just go out and do these things and have fun. And I don't know, I'm losing my fucking train of thought, but that's just fucking cool, man. That's cool.
It's a thing. I don't know if you've ever thought of this from the other side of the coin, like as a dad, where I think back to like memories of I had with my dad and like various things. Obviously, my dad's way different than I am, but and I've kind of had that thought a few times of like I need to do something. I need to give him like a cool dad memory like that. This was definitely one of those things. That that's not like my goal, but
Yeah.
those thoughts creep in.
I think that especially like him watching you like in the pit, like that's probably something that like he would have loved to be able to like join you down there, but it's like he probably realizes like he's a little too small. Yeah. But being able to see like you down there, he probably thought you were a fucking superhero, man. That's at least what I would think. I remember I've seen, this is a completely different scenario. My dad's a paramedic, and we used to work at these car shows, and there was one time where guy was going through some stuff, and my dad had to do CPR, and I remember watching him like do his job and try and save this guy's life, and being like, dude, my dad's an absolute fucking superhero. This is crazy.
Literal superhero.
So crazy. But I feel like that's kind of a similar feeling though, in terms of like watching your dad just
Do something cool.
do something fucking cool. And I feel like it's probably the same sort of feeling for him. At least I would assume. Who knows? I don't know.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure when there was like one time during that concert where I like ran into this dude and he hit me so fucking hard, sent me sailing across the pit. I landed on my feet. But in my moment I was like, oh, when I saw it, that fucking hurt. Oh, I just said his fucking name again.
I'll edit it out. It's okay.
All right.
Um, that's funny. That's funny. Oh man. Holy shit. Well, shit, man. What else did you want to talk about? I mean, I could talk to you about some of the things that I did this weekend in terms of some research that I did. Not the most fun research, but I felt as though we had to close a chapter within the podcast. I think it
Oh,
should
that's
be
gonna
where if we're gonna end it, it needs to end here. The
Okay, all right.
Hawktua.
One quick moment.
Okay.
I'm gonna get two birds stoned at once here. I'm gonna lump
Okay.
one more subject in on the topic of heavy metal. Whitechapel, baby. They are
Oh my
back.
god.
Dude, that new song that they released, I know you don't listen. I don't know if any of our listeners listen, but they were like one of the first badass heavy bands that I got into way back in high school. And they do the classic thing that a lot of metal bands do, where over the years they get a little less rowdy. You know, songs get a little more melodic, which is fine. You know, I love all of their discography, but this new song they released is like straight back to high school, dude. It is so heavy, so badass, so great.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait to hear more of that. Metal is awesome. Now, Hawktua.
I hate that so much. I hate it. It's funny that you mentioned it. Well, and now I want to talk about the fact that it reminds me of Bring Me the Horizon is the same way, where they were
Oh,
really
yes.
heavy when I
They
was
are
in
the
high
worst
school. When we were in high
offender.
school, but then they've gotten to this like melodic, like kind of techno-y vibe, and it's
Yeah.
like it's a much different. I mean, it works for them, but it's also
And
just like this is not what I remember. And I recently went back and listened to like Pray for Plagues and Chelsea Smiles and like some of like their old classics, and was like, this is very different. This is very different. Ollie was a much different man
yeah.
back in those days. But oh god.
But I mean,
Anyways.
they still tour the world and do their
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, and
Fans
they're
love
bigger
it,
than ever.
so
They're
good for
bigger
them.
than ever now. It's crazy. But yeah, talk to a fuck. I want to close this chapter. It needs to be closed. We need to move on.
We're not going to talk about Hawktua anymore.
We probably will, but at the same time,
Good.
it needs to die for now.
So there's going to be a little gravestone and in parentheses probably.
Probably. Yeah, so the Hawktua girl, Haley is her name, funnily enough. Haley something. I don't remember her fucking last name. She says it. I don't remember. Welch. You're right. Haley Welch, the Hawktua girl, started a podcast, and I can't remember if it was last episode or episode before where we discussed it. And we discussed the name and how clever it is, which is Talktua. Yeah. And so me, being of boundless effort and time that I put into this show, I went out and watched the first episode. And you want to know?
What did your on the ground reporting find for us, Silas?
It was really weird when they started talking about naval warfare. But beyond that, just kidding. No,
Okay.
One of the TikToks regarding the episode was talking about how, that was so crazy when they broke into naval warfare. And I was like, did we watch the same podcast? And then I got it that it was a joke.
Okay,
but anyway,
okay.
They did.
I was like, you're making it sound more interesting. Naval warfare is kind of sick.
If they had talked about naval warfare, I would have been super hyped. No, they didn't. It was so to lay it out for how it works out. The format is it's Haley, and then her best friend, or I'm assuming it's her best friend, Chelsea, who was there. So Chelsea was there at the street interview, and she was the one who originally got asked the question.
Okay. Yep.
And then Haley came in and said, Hawktua, you guys bit on that. That was how that situation went down. So she was there. And then it was it's Haley's manager. I don't remember his fucking name, and who fucking cares? It's just some guy who is very, very like Hollywood. He's the most Hollywood man. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Like he just bled Hollywood. I don't know how to say it. Like there's just certain people who come off as like, I live in Hollywood. And there's no other way to explain that. And then they had comedian Whitney Cummings. I don't know if you know who she is.
I've heard that name. I think I might
She's been on a couple
recognize
different
a face.
sitcoms. Obviously, she's a stand-up comic. It's kind of in that same sort of circuit. And so I wrote a couple different notes. My key takeaways were that Whitney kind of just carried the whole podcast. I mean, she's a veteran podcast guest, is what I would kind of categorize her as. She's been on a number, like I think she's been on Joe Rogan's podcast. She's been on Two Bears, One Cave or whatever, the Bert Kreischer podcast, all these podcasts. She's been on a ton of them.
Well, hey, this is a formal invite, Whitney Cummings, if you'd like to come on Time Well Met.
You want to come on Time Well Met? You can be our first guest. Yep. You would do great.
We'd mesh well.
Yeah. But so Whitney basically she carried the whole podcast. Haley's personality is just kind of like I don't really know how to describe it other than just like very southern kind of. She's very southern.
I've watched several clips now, and she just seems really one-dimensional.
Yes, one-dimensional. I'm trying not to be mean, because my notes are a little mean now reading back. But yeah, one-dimensional is a great word. She's just very much surface level. You're gonna everything that you see is what you get. You know what I mean? There's not much more to that. The podcast was pretty heavily edited in terms of how they structured it. I'm assuming because they had to cut for ad breaks and stuff like that, which she did have ads on her first episode for some gambling site. I don't fucking know. And then her manager kind of did the rest, where anytime that there would be kind of a lull in the conversation, he would kind of, chip in to sort of, again, help Whitney. The conversation was mostly between Haley and Whitney, but it was mostly Whitney, Haley kind of responding. Chelsea was there every now and then, which also Chelsea did not really feel like she wanted to be there at all. The way that it was portrayed was like, it was almost like, why is she there in the first place? But it was also kind of like, it feels as though Haley owes it to Chelsea. I don't know, it's a weird sort of thing, but they pretty much they talked about, they gave a questionable relationship advice, talking about love, and it was interesting to say the least. Obviously they talked about the whole Haktua meme and how that went viral and it being a big thing. They tried to find, at one point they tried to find Chelsea's version of like Haktua and her catchphrase that's going to send her super viral. And they settled on Haktua shit on that thing. Which I thought was probably like the highlight of the whole. That was the funniest part of the entire podcast. That was the only time in the hour-long podcast that I actually laughed, and I was like, okay, that's purely for shit on that thing, just being
shit on that.
Just a funny thing to say. But yeah, then they talked about, of course, Haley. Since she's blown up with her internet fame, she's gotten to meet a bunch of celebrities and all that sort of shit. And the rest of it was basically just like Whitney Cummings being Whitney Cummings. If you don't know her, then you can look up probably a 60-second clip, and that was what it was for an hour.
Now that I'm sitting thinking about it, since I've seen the clips from that show, I've definitely seen her.
Yeah. It was mostly her. Like I said, Whitney is not new to this. She's been in the industry for a really long time, and so it was not anything really. You're not going to get anything new out of her because she's just been doing it for so long. I mean, she was like, apparently she told one story that she's never told before or something like that. Which I don't even remember what it was. But beyond that, I'm pretty sure she's probably told the same. She's probably had the same sort of talking points throughout her other ventures in terms of podcasting. But some of the positives that I took out of the whole endeavor was Haley has a pet rescue called Paws Across America that she's running. So that was really cool. I like to see people doing good things with pets. She did one of the other interesting things was she told her first story about flying, which I always kind of find people's first anything is always kind of an interesting thing. But she talked about how she got caught with like 2 knives because she's a country girl and bringing knives around is, I guess, a normal thing. But it was just kind of an interesting thing. And then, of course, the shit on that thing was just kind of funny, I guess. Beyond that, the rest of the podcast was just like, what are you fucking doing? Like, this is really, you're milking this. You are milking this for everything it's worth. I don't see the podcast lasting more than like 5 episodes. If it lasts more, Sure, cool, that's awesome. But I feel like it's not as sustainable. She already has a couple episodes recorded with like Jake Paul and I don't know who else. So we'll at least get a couple. We'll see how long it lasts though.
Right. There seems to be a trend I've noticed of large, well, what I would assume is larger studios pushing some niche people back into kind of the zeitgeist of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. You remember? And then he
Yeah,
did a show. They did a show or a
yeah, that
podcast.
the three of the original
I don't
three.
think that's still going. I don't know, but I definitely watched several episodes of that podcast. It was fairly
Yeah.
entertaining, but it's kind of interesting how I wonder how much money goes into a production like that to have the studio, the audio quality, they've got like professional cameras, they're not using their
Yeah.
iPhones like idiots.
Yeah.
That was a joke. Using my iPhone. Yeah. Anyway, I just wonder, man. They do all that, and then it lasts 12 episodes, and it goes away. I wonder they have to be making enough money to continue that cycle, or else they
Yeah.
wouldn't do it.
And I think there is a market because there's I know that some of the older like Disney stars, Nickelodeon stars have done podcasts and stuff like that. And I know there is a market for it because you have that hit of nostalgia. A way that I can think about it is like, so when Anthony from Smosh came back to Smosh, he left for several years, came back, and that revived their channel, their main channel at least, for a time. That hit of nostalgia can definitely bring a lot of people in, as well as you know the short form marketing that you have with like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels and all that sort of stuff. Because that's how I knew about the Ned's Declassified podcast, was seeing clips of it and being like, oh shit, I remember watching that show as a kid. And that,
Same.
again, that hit of nostalgia is a very powerful thing. The longevity, yeah, is questionable because there's some of these podcasts that, yeah, they'll go for a while, but then yeah, some of them just kind of, they do it and they probably get a sponsor or two and make quick buck and then bye. I know that the one of the other podcasts that I can think of is the Sopranos kids. It's the two actors that played Tony Soprano's kids. They started a podcast and they tell stories about being on set and doing the Sopranos, and there's a market for it. It is a bit of a niche market, but there's a market for it. And I think
I'm just thinking, I wonder how. I mean, maybe this sounds naive or stupid, but how do they make? Because it seems to me like it's high production, high budget shit. Wonder how much money they make in that short period if they make 10 episodes or something,
yeah, I don't know.
and then ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, it all depends on. You can usually tell how much money they're gonna make by the type of sponsor they're gonna take. If they're taking a pretty well-known sponsor, you could guarantee that they're going to make a good sum of money. I know that I just recently, I watched a couple YouTubers talk about YouTube sponsorships and how those can kind of translate. So like a 1 million view video sponsorship can be anywhere from like $10,000 to $20,000, and for one video basically. But obviously that's 1 million views. 1 million people will have had the possibility to see that in video ad, right? Now, in terms of how that translates into podcasting, not too sure. It might be more, it might be less. Again, it also kind of depends. You can usually kind of tell depending on who the sponsor is. If it's some like I'm gonna say right now, the Talk to a podcast sponsorship probably netted them a decent amount of money, but it's a bit of a shady sponsor. It's some sports gambling thing that she had no clue what. You could clearly tell she was just reading off a script. She had no clue what it was, and she was getting the bag. But whether or not, usually gambling sponsorships are going to net you a decent amount of money because gambling sites just make ridiculous money. But
yeah, I don't know if you know this, but maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, the NFL started to allow. It was previously banned. You couldn't have like betting on the games like on a website. They started allowing it a couple years ago, and since then there's just been a boom, a huge spike of gambling websites and the commercials and ads for them. I'm sitting here thinking, if I can't imagine that any company that has plays an ad during an NFL football game is going to have their ad during the Hawk Tua podcast. But if they did, I mean, that's a lot of money. There's definitely got to be worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Wild.
And here's the thing. I think that especially with that podcast in particular, I think that what she's doing is literally just trying to make as much money as humanly possible and then get out and do her thing, live her life, which, you know what, as kind of cringe as it all might be, get that bag, girl. Get the money.
Yeah. No,
squeeze them dry, get out, and live your life.
Come be on our podcast, bring some of that money our way, and then you ride off into the sunset.
That will be your retirement podcast. When you finally decide to retire, it's gonna be some
you
wild
come on the
shit.
Show and announce your retirement here, and we'll take care of you.
That's how if you ever see Haley Welch on the Time Well Met podcast, you know she's getting out.
She's hanging up the towel.
She's hanging up the Hawk Tua. That's what she's doing. She's getting the fuck out. Oh God!
I ain't never gonna Hawk Tua again.
Oh shit! No, never again. Oh my goodness. Well, shit, man. That was my synopsis. What were you thinking about?
So I'm curious what. Well, actually, I like what you wrote here about saying "I love you."
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I am the type of person, and I know okay, let me dial it back a little bit. Recently I watched a video. There's a YouTube channel that I really, really love, called Abba and Preach. And it's these two guys from Canada, older guys. I say older, they're older than me, by a couple of years. And they're probably the best example for like a men's, I mean, they talk about more stuff than that, but like in terms of like positivity for men, they're probably one of the best, like content creators that I enjoy, I would say, like, or that I view as being like, they're pretty much always positive, in terms of what they cover, the ideas that they talk about, you know, just kind of everything. And one of the videos that they did recently was a reaction to, some guys talking about calling it was I want to say it was based out of Australia. It was these guys calling their friends, and all they were doing is saying, "Hey, I was thinking about you. Just wanted to let you know that I'm proud of you and I love you." And just that simple little thing sparked this. And so to give an idea about the format, what Abba and Preach do is they'll watch, you know, kind of clips and then give commentary about, you know, their thoughts about how it can kind of relate to the world around us as it is right now, the current society, I guess, if you want to put it into kind of a broad term. And it was really interesting to kind of get the perspective of both guys, because Abba is more like, yeah, I'll tell my friends I love them. It does not bother me. Preach is a little bit more reserved. He's a little bit more, you know, I will show you that I love you. I'm not going to outright tell you, because that word to him it means a lot more to him, or means it's kind of different for him. And I think you and I are sort of similar in the sense that, well, I know that we are, because for the most part, we are both very comfortable with just saying I love you to our guy friends, especially. You know what I mean? It's one thing to say I love you to your partner or to your parents. There's this weird stigma, especially with men, where you just can't say I love you. There's something, you know, people are going to get awkward and try, and at least when I was younger, this was especially the case, where, you know, you try and say it, or you try and, you know, be like, "Hey man, I love you, bro." And it's like, "Oh, what are you, gay or something?" It's like, you know, you try and play it off and be masculine and like, "Oh, whatever. I don't care." But at the end of the day, it's like, man, it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that a lot more guys, and I also want to say that I think that a lot more guys are getting comfortable with being able to say, "You know what? Yeah, I do love you. You know what? I love my friends." And yeah, I think it was just an interesting way to get that perspective, and a thought to think about. 'Cause it was like, man, it is weird, because you and I, especially, like I said, we're completely content with it, and we're comfortable with it. We're comfortable in our own masculinity, and we're comfortable with looking at our friends and expressing that and reminding them, like, "Hey man, I fucking love you. Like, without you in my life, man, it would be a much darker place. Like that's, and it doesn't feel that hard to say. And so I was curious about what your thoughts were.
Man, I don't mean to get just slightly dark here, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And, of course I felt the same way growing up as a teenager and in my early adult years. Even my very best friend, I wouldn't tell him I love him. In my mind, I'm like, I love that dude. It's there,
Yeah.
and you show it, like you said, actions, etc. But you don't say it. It's just a stigma. There's something about it. When my parents passed away, I'm pretty sure it was probably, it was motivated to me through my father. Because prior to that, my father, he would say I love you, but not every single time you talk on the phone, not every time you walk away, stuff like that. But when his parents passed away, when I say my parents, those my grandparents, which is my dad's parents, when they passed away, he just started, every time he talks to me on the phone, every time he sees me, all right, love you, son, see you, love you, etc. And that really, like I said, resonated or just wormed its way into my brain to where, like, I'm happy to tell my friends I love them, dude. Like, I love you, dude.
Love you, dude. Fuck
That's
yeah.
right, man.
Always and forever, man.
And
It's
about, that reminder is nice. As men, we maybe don't hear it as often, some of us. And then it goes into, I like to hear it, And fuck, just yesterday, I was messaging you, bitching about everything I had going on in my life. I appreciate that you're there for me. And that's, you love someone, you show them, you tell them.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. Absolutely. I think the person that always comes to my mind every single time is our buddy TJ. And
Yep.
every single time that, if he's leaving, like when we're in a call in Discord, if he's leaving, or if I'm leaving or whoever's leaving, it's always, hey man, love you, love you, bye. The way he says it's so much sweeter and softer. It's so great. I love it.
Yeah, he's just like, love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy. Yeah. It just warms my heart, man. But yeah, man. Go
That,
ahead.
I think doing that, every time you talk to TJ, he does that to you.
Yeah.
That implants on your brain. That's a thing that and a thing that you remember, and you respected about TJ. Now, let's say you're in a spot of crisis, like you're not like a physical crisis, but like a mental health. You're having a tough day. You're really in a rough spot. Whatever. TJ's told you that he loves you 1,000 times. So you're gonna be like, I'll call TJ. He's got me. I know he does without question. Even though I'm in this dark, we've talked about it on the show before, the dark pit. I'm down here, but I know TJ's a phone call away, and he loves me. And he's got me.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
tell everyone you love them. If you love them, tell them, man.
Yes, because the thing about it is too, and not to get too dark, but I guess we're getting dark again. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. You don't know what's going to happen. It's like that old saying, like don't go to sleep mad, or whatever that which is a whole other topic for another time. But it's that same sort of thing. Tell the people that you love if you really genuinely feel it. And obviously, the thing that I think about too is like it's a lot different than like saying I'm sorry. If you say I'm sorry too much, that word can lose its value. You know what I mean? If you say sorry, if you're apologizing for every little thing, that word can lose its value. You can, it just sort of dulls its meaning. The words I love you, I feel like never dull. They can be used for, malicious intent, but for the most part, when someone genuinely means it, and you can feel when someone genuinely means it, those words will carry you through time and space, man. They will guide you through, exactly what you're talking about. The darkest of times, the worst of the worst, and they will lift you even higher at your, highest points. Hearing I love you from whoever it may be. So yeah, absolutely tell your friends you love them. It doesn't matter that you're guys, it doesn't devalue your masculinity. It doesn't, make you any less of a man to look at your other male friend and go, I love you. And, it doesn't make you gay. It doesn't do anything. It just shows appreciation for the people around you. Okay. God.
This is 2024. We're loving everybody out here.
That's right. We're all hippies. I don't know why I had this thought of like, I really wanted to be like, well, but in the off chance that you do tell your friend that you love them, you might catch the gay. You know what I mean? You might listen, look what happened to me. Look at my nail. Look at these nails. Okay. Look what happened to me.
Spreads like wildfire. That's
It's
why
like
we don't
wildfire.
record in the same room. I don't want to catch it.
God. Oh my God. It's not infectious, or is it? Hmm. That's a secret I'll never tell.
I mean, if you're looking at the video recording of this right now, see that face on Silas, it's a little infectious. Spotify
My
users, open
God.
up YouTube.
That's right. That's right. Check us out on all platforms. Oh my gosh. Make
That's
sure to like and
probably
subscribe.
be sure to like and subscribe. That's probably a half. You know what? It's a good enough segue. That's how I'm gonna phrase this. It's a good enough
Okay.
segue. This is kind of a random thought that I had. I don't remember why I had it, when I had it, or why, but I cared enough to write it down in our notes chat here. And I don't know that I have an answer, so this could fall completely flat, but I'm curious your thoughts or opinion upon it. So, every single day of our lives, for the most part, you're going to run into somebody somewhere. You're going to say, hey, how are you? Hi, all that good stuff. And 99 times out of 100, you'll just be like, I'm good. How are you? Past that, though, if somebody was to realistically ask you to define your current mental health status, I don't really know a better way to phrase this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I sparked this thought now. During one day, you can have so many different emotions and go through so much different shit. You
Yep.
take a roller coaster some days. And it got me thinking, if somebody asked me, what is my mental health status right now in whatever moment I was having, like, oh, it's pissed off, or, oh, I'm just happy, I'm whatever. But how do you kind of define, or if you were wanting to define my overall status in my life currently?
Hmm. I don't know. That's a very good question. I think for me personally, I fall back on the term coasting or floating are the two terms that I think I would use is I'm just sort of, not to get really existential, but I'm just sort of drifting through this, you know, consciousness and figuring things out as I go and really just kind of taking everything a day at a time. I'm not the type of person who, and I guess to give a little bit more context, I'm very mentally ill. not to
As he smiles and laughs.
Well, it's one of those things, man, that I've been dealing with it for ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. My whole life, I've had to
I just
deal with
got
mental
tea in my eye.
illness.
Sorry.
Oh God, my whole life I've had to deal with different mental illnesses. I have a number. It's starting to become a list at this point, which is never thought that would be. I think when you're a kid, you don't think about that sort of thing, and as you grow older, you sort of become accustomed to it. The idea that every day is a struggle or every day is a fight to kind of just get through it is definitely something that rings true for me. But I've had to deal with this for a long time, and obviously you sort of build coping mechanisms and you wade your way through it. But I think that you can find a happy medium, even if you are, if you've got a lot of stuff going on, whether that be you have a lot of stress in your life, if you're mentally ill, if you have things that are kind of weighing you down, things that are just shitty, things that happen to you, like maybe your wife's car gets broken into or your car battery dies. Even with all of these things sort of stacking up and weighing on you, you can still find good. You can still find happiness. You can still find things to keep you going and keep you moving. And when you're in that sort of feeling, when you're in that sort of mindset, you are floating. You're just kind of coasting through life. And that's, to me, not a bad thing. In fact, it's a nice place to be. I would much rather be coasting than sinking. Okay. I'd much rather be floating. I'd much rather, stay afloat, have my head above water. Sometimes, I get dragged under, and sometimes it's, I struggle to fight back up, and sometimes I'm, flying. Sometimes I'm great. You know what I mean? You're definitely right. It's a roller coaster, but yeah, I think that's kind of finding that, at least for me personally, finding that happy medium, having that just feeling of being okay. I'll never be normal, but that feeling of being okay is enough for me sometimes. So
that's kind of the goal.
yeah.
That's your ideal status, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started this whole existential thing, but man, it's just hard. Some days can be, you might have a whole week where you're just on top of the world, everything's good, everything's great, and then your car gets broken into.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, now I was pissed off, and then I threw my phone at, not that this happened, but now I'm pissed off and I broke something, and that makes it worse, and things compound and snowball so far the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I guess this is kind of a silly question overall. You don't have to put a definition on it, and even if you did, it doesn't have to be accurate. I liked what you said, though. It's way better to be coasting than sinking.
Yeah.
That's good. It kind of also sparks from if you have a lot of great things going on in your life. You know, let's say you have a good job, you're just happy. Whatever you're doing in your life, you're happy. Maybe that's not even having a job. You're happy. And that's all that really ultimately matters. And I guess, lost my train of thought there a little bit. Too existential. Oh yeah, I was going to say, if you have all these great things and then you're having a bad day, does it feel false to say, well, my life sucks, or I'm not happy with my life?
I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I think that you can in the moment, especially when if your life sucks in that moment, then yeah, absolutely. I don't think that it loses any sort of validity. And I don't think that it's like wrong. Here's the thing. I think if every single day you wake up and you go, man, everything's so shitty, my life sucks, everything's awful, and you just beat yourself down over and over again, the thing that I think about, or the thing that I'm kind of trying to relate this to, is something that Theo Von said, which is nothing changes if nothing changes. That's kind of something that's been living in my brain really, really heavily lately. And so, if you wake up and every single day, life does suck, and you feel like it sucks, and you're not doing anything to change that, then you don't really have anybody else to blame but yourself. But if you can wake up and look at the positives in your life, like the way that I look at life, at least right now, to give some context, I lost my job last month. I've been unemployed for about a month now. At the end of last month, got the boot. Sucks to suck. But the thing about it is, I wake up every day, I look for jobs. I keep myself busy editing, play some video games, do what I can do.
And streaming more.
And the thing about it is that I think about the fact that I have a roof over my head. I got food in my stomach. I'm breathing air, and I'm here and I'm present. And that's the best I can do for right now. You know what I mean?
Got a cool podcast.
Had a cool podcast with a really cool dude. I don't know if you ever heard of him. The guy's name's Kirby. He's pretty sick.
Pink Nintendo guy. He's cool. Bro, can we superimpose? No, we get copyright struck. Never mind.
Probably. But you can find positives. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. And if you can't find any positives, then man, it's time for some change. It's time for something to change. The whole losing my job thing, that sucked, but I was already in the process of trying to find a new job anyway. So I already had kind of a leg up on, I already had my, my resume redone. I already had applications. I already have, signed up to all the job finding websites. You know what I mean? So, that being said, just yes, it is valid, I think, to be able to say, yeah, life sucks sometimes. You know what I mean? So
there was definitely no right or wrong answer here. I was just hoping it would be a somewhat interesting conversation, but I like what you said about, if you wake up every day and you think your life sucks, it's going to, because that's how the human mind works. Mm-hmm. If you really repeatedly think or believe something enough, that it is going to come true. Yep. Within reason. So if you wake up every single day, maybe just like whatever the first thought you have in the day is. I mean, most thoughts for me, that's most days, Monday through Friday at least, I'm waking up and I'm thinking, fuck, I don't want to go to work.
Yeah.
But what gets me out of bed is usually, well, at least I get to enjoy caffeine today, and I'm lucky to have a job. And if I don't go to work, I lose that job, which then in turn I lose everything in my life. So being thankful for the things you have, I guess that would my overall status is good, I guess, because I'm good. I mean, I do have a lot of good shit. I don't really know what I was on when I started this question or how much I had to drink that night, but shit, I wrote that at 10 a.m. Never mind.
Completely sober. Or was I?
I don't know what day of the week that was, but
Yeah.
try to be happy. That's what we're gonna take from all of this. I like what you
Yes.
said. You got to try to frame your mind.
Yeah.
Focus on your positives.
The mind is
Try
a
to have the
very
happy thoughts, so your life will be happy.
yes. The mind is a very powerful thing. There's a lot that you can do to yourself just through thought, just through, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to say that you can like, completely control your life or anything like that with just your mind, like I can't think of the thing that the kids are doing these days where they like, they're like projecting, they're like astral projecting and with their mind, but they're not calling it astral projecting, they're calling it something else. They're like going into like Hogwarts and living in there. I can't think about what the fuck it's called. It's so funny. That's some
From listening to this
shit.
podcast, I've learned that kids these days they have all the coolest shit and are also kind of weird.
It basically boils down to just being very imaginative and like from at least what
It's imaginative about Hogwarts.
Well,
Imagine
so
your own
you,
school of magic.
but you're like you're using your imagination to like put yourself in Hogwarts. And they're like doing it for like hours at a time. Basically, they're just daydreaming is what it sounds like. But they have another word for it. And oh my God, I'm so mad that I can't for the life of me.
Are you sure you're not mixing this up with kids playing the Hogwarts Legacy video game?
No, I'm 1,000,000%. Dude, I'm going to do something that I've never done on this podcast before, which is I'm going to take a moment to look this up. What the fuck is it called?
I did it for the first time on the last episode. So we're doing great here, folks.
Oh my
this
God.
Episode
Hold
is
on
the high highs.
What are Zoomers calling daydreaming now these days? I swear to God. This is mental podcast. That's not what it is. Oh my God, it's gonna kill me. It's really gonna kill me that I can't remember what it's called. The maladaptive daydreaming is the one of the things that they do, but it's not
maladaptive.
It's some sort of thing where it's like if you have an over imaginative sort of thing. Oh my God, dude, I can't for the life of me think
what are kids doing these days?
What are kids doing these days?
I hope that someday somebody cares enough to go back and cut all the time to... I'm sorry, what?
It's called shifting.
They're shifting.
They're shifting.
It's literally written on your keyboard right in front of you. You couldn't remember?
It's like they're basically they're
phase shifting, dude.
Dude, it's so I'm pretty sure it's called shifting. Let me double check and make sure.
We cannot spread false information.
I don't want to.
No fake news coming out of Time Well Met, folks. We're 100% truth.
It is shifting. Oh my God. So basically the idea behind it is that I want to say it, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's shifting. Basically what it is like the idea is that you're like focusing so hard that you're moving from one reality to another. And essentially what it is it's just daydreaming. Just like hardcore daydreaming. It's basically what it is. And there's ways that it's like lucid dreaming while awake. That's essentially what it is. It's some weird shit. That was some lockdown shit, man. It was really popular. It may not be shifting. God damn it, I can't remember exactly what it's called. I think it's shifting. I'll do some research and come back. But
telling me people were just baking bread and shifting during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's what they were doing.
Dude, I was fucking up. I was playing Tarkov, hating my life.
You idiot!
I know. Think of all the bread.
Think of all the time in fucking the Game of Thrones world you could have been spending, or Hogwarts, or Star Wars, or whatever sort of fantastical place that you wanted to be.
Shift me to wherever Natalie Portman's character is.
Yeah.
In the second Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
With her there, please.
Yeah. Just not in the pit when they're fighting all the horrible aliens, or when the Geonosians start fighting all the Jedi, or in any of the combat scenarios.
No, I'm talking about I want to be in the field with the flowers. Just me and Natalie
Yeah.
Portman. That's my shift.
Just holding
Dream.
hands. Staring longingly into Natalie Portman's eyes. Oh, God.
And then she does Natalie's rap for me live.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Classic. Oh, so classic. Oh, man, that's so good. Fucking love Natalie's rap. If you've never, for anyone who doesn't know what Natalie's rap is, go to YouTube right now. Look up Natalie's rap. It's an SNL sketch that
Natalie
went
Portman.
on the Lonely Island album. Oh, Natalie Portman.
Yeah, it is a Natalie Lonely Island feature. So good.
Oh, dude, so good. Natalie. Oh, so good, man. Fucking hell. Oh, what else did you what else is here? What else is here? I'm trying to think about. Oh yeah, we talked about Whitechapel, and I wanted to talk about this other the name of the guy that's in here, but we kind of missed the chance because it had to do with Abba and Preach and kind of that whole I mean, I guess we could really quick. Do you know who Donovan Sharp is?
No.
Probably not. Super niche. This is one of those things. So for those of you who don't know, if this is your first time listening, I'm a weird fucking guy, and I follow a lot of weird niche. I keep up with a lot of weird niche people, and Donovan Sharp is one of those people that I need to start doing this thing where I need to start like gathering clips, and then we spend like the first 30 minutes before we record. I need to just show you clips of stuff. And I really want to show you some of Donovan Sharp's short form content, because it is quite possibly the most cringe shit I've ever heard or seen.
Uh-oh.
To give you some background, do you know about like the red pill movement and that sort of thing about, you know, men being ultra masculine and dominant
Alpha
over
male,
women,
baby.
and you know, you have to be, you know, a millionaire by the time that you're 20, and you never date a single mom, and all these other fucking weird,
Damn right.
stupid fucking rules that they have.
Single dads only.
Yeah, hell yeah. They have a lot of really dumb fucking stupid rules, and whatever. The red pill is a fucking whole cringe topic that I could go into for hours and hours, because I think it's really dumb, and I think that whole mentality is poisonous to men all across the world. I think that it's very much been a detriment to especially male youth. Like it's just such
a fucking scam, dude.
It is. All they're trying to do is convince you to buy their class, or
yes, it always leads to some self-help seminar, book, fucking...
and it's always get rich quick schemes and shit like that. You know, learn how to, you know, do crypto or whatever, right? Shit that you could easily just learn online through like free YouTube videos, by the way. And Donovan Sharp is one of these guys.
Tell your friends you love them.
Exactly. That's all you fucking need. But Donovan Sharp was one of those guys, and Abba and Preach covered him quite extensively. Pretty entertaining to watch. But the whole thing is that he kind of has fallen off, and I've been really happy about that. That's really all I want to say is fuck Donovan Sharp. I'm so glad that his whole YouTube shit is failing. Fuck that guy. Like, because I don't understand how you build your entire existence on taking advantage of people, men in particular. You build your whole existence on like just trying to preach this whole like fake dominance while also being just a really fake person yourself. Like he talks about, you know, not wanting to or like, you know, being this alpha male, like super, you know, don't be a simp or anything like that. Whereas he has this story of him being like a 32-year-old man simping over this like 19-year-old girl, and like
Perfect.
Just, you know, being everything that he says that you shouldn't be, shit like that. I don't know. Just, I don't really know what I had to say about him. And when I wrote his name down, I think I'm just glad to see him fall from grace, if there ever was any sort of grace that he held.
I'm just glad to see him fall.
Listen,
so this Donovan Sharp guy is one of those like alpha male macho.
Yeah. So
don't tell your wife you love her.
Yeah.
Don't type deal.
And, man, and this is why I really wanted to show you some of his content. And I almost thought about breaking out some of his videos so we could watch it live on stream, but I say on stream on the podcast, but I don't want to do that. I don't know. It would be too much of a, they'd have to do too much shit. Anyways, but he has this one video, this one that I can think of off the top of my head, where it's him and his wife, and they're sitting on the couch, and his wife stands up and is like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quickly, and she grabs her phone and walks to the bathroom, and then it's like a POV shot of her walking out of the bathroom, and there's a suitcase in front of her, right? And
she took her phone to the bathroom. She must be cheating, right?
She must be cheating. She must be cheating. And I'm like, how are you so fucking insane and insecure that you think that your like wife is cheating on you just because she took her phone in the back? Dude, if that were like a no-go for the relationships that I've been in, I would have never succeeded in any relationship I've ever been in.
Dude, what are you supposed to do while you're taking a shit?
Yeah.
Do Wordle and surf Reddit.
Exactly. Scroll on TikTok for way too long. Get hemorrhoids like a real man.
That's the real alpha male.
That's the real alpha male shit.
I trust my wife so much, I let her take her phone to the bathroom.
Damn, you're brave man.
Alpha brave male, man. Baby.
What was it? So then they go through this whole like back and forth between the two of them of like, don't let your woman, like, they're like preaching to you or some weird shit. They're like, has your woman ever taken her phone into the bathroom? What do you think she's doing in there? She's scrolling for wiener. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Who says it that way? Scrolling for wiener.
It was like Tinder on the toilet. They tried to come up with like, catchy Tinder on the toilet, scrolling for wiener.
Amazing.
I don't know. Yeah, scrolling for wiener on the porcelain throne or some shit. I don't know. It's some wild shit. But that's like the basis of his content. It's these like outlandish, never gonna happen scenarios that men might find themselves in, and he's trying to teach you these lessons about how to be an alpha male. And it's just the most poisonous garbage. It is the most like backwards way of thinking. Where, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like some sort of like extreme, strong feminist, but I do know how to treat a woman right? Like it's not that hard. Okay. It's really not that hard. I also know that if your significant other, whoever they may be, takes their phone into the bathroom, it's probably okay. There's so many other signs that you could see if someone's cheating versus like if they're taking their phone into the bathroom. Oh, God.
That's a whole nother set of issues. Like, if that makes you paranoid, that's a thing with your relationship. You don't even need to be worrying about how manly or macho you are. You need to be worrying about why you can't communicate and work with your partner.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Communication is key. Holy shit. I feel like enough people don't.
Communication is alpha.
Communication is alpha as fuck.
Alpha as fuck, dude. You want to see some manly shit? Tell your wife how you're feeling.
Oh shit. And don't be a pussy about it either. Tell her how you're really feeling deep down.
I bet you won't. You won't tell her your deepest darkest fear, little pussy.
What's up, little bitch? I bet you will open up and be vulnerable around her. Be a man. Be vulnerable. Be vulnerable around her.
Cry. You start crying right now.
Start crying right now. Be vulnerable.
Think of the alpha wolf leading the pack. Cry.
Tears in the wind as you're galloping.
I always run around on all fours when I cry. It's kind of a bad habit.
How else am I going to feel badass if I'm not cruising around howling at the moon, on all fours, middle of the day, 3 p.m. in my front yard. Oh shit!
That's good shit.
That's good shit. God damn.
Communication is alpha. I like
Communication
that.
is
episode
alpha.
title.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, shit, man. Oh fuck, that's
Okay,
good.
so I meant to tell you on that topic of Donovan Sharp. Last week or last
You
episode, you
met
gave
Donovan
me.
Sharp.
Yeah, I met him. I didn't remember when you brought him up, but yeah, I met him. No, Jacob fucking Jones.
Yeah. Did you look him
Yeah,
up?
wasted a full hour and 40 minutes of my life watching that man sit on a stoop, drink like 3 beers, and smoke like 4 cigarettes. And I loved every minute of it.
Dude, yeah, it's so great. I don't know what
I
it
can't-
is.
And then there's moments where he just kind of like trails and looks off into the whatever.
Like he's just
I think-
enjoying the world.
Yes. And I'm like drifting away myself, like, why am I watching this? This is fucking stupid. But it's awesome.
Yeah. It's like weirdly relaxing. I don't know what it is. There's, there is actual science. People have talked about how, we watch YouTube while we're eating, right? Because it's a communal thing. Like if you're at your computer all day or whatever. I know plenty of people who can't. I think Bubba Zach is kind of. We had that conversation I think at QuakeCon about how, fuck man, if I'm sitting down on my computer and eating, I have to have YouTube up, and that's something like primal. That's something that's like. There's something chemical about that where it's like that human feeling, that feeling of camaraderie and community and being with somebody. And I think that kind of the crazy thing about YouTube is that goes beyond, eating. It goes into like, just if you're not necessarily feeling lonely, but if you're feeling and it may be something more subconscious, but like if you're feeling the need for some sort of camaraderie or company, having that, in the background and having, just someone there who the one thing I really love about Jacob Jones is the fact that it kind of just is living an experience. You know what I mean? He's doing something that he enjoys and he's living that experience and being there and being in that experience and witnessing that. There's something really weirdly powerful about that. I don't know. It's hard to describe, man.
The thing that struck me is he seems so like confident or comfortable in maybe himself. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase this, but he's like, I'm just sitting out here smoking my cigarette and drinking my beer because that's what I want to do. And it's a lovely day outside. Look at it.
Yeah. If I do say so myself.
If I do say so myself. Oh, dude, so many times. So many times. If I do.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, good recommendation on that one though.
Yeah,
a guy.
What a guy! It's just
dude, one of the top comments I saw said something about like homeless man or man achieving all of his dreams.
Yeah, and he's so specific about everything. Like he's like, well, I'm not going to drink at this park, but I'm gonna drive over to this other park. So we're gonna drive over to that other park. So why don't you join me in the car? Like we're gonna get in the car and drive down. And then he's like, well, I'm gonna gotta watch him.
I'm going to have this cider, which is going to pair perfectly well with my Japanese cigarette.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, dude, what? Oh, man. It doesn't make sense, but it's also the most amazing shit. His videos are a lot longer form, 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes a little bit longer. I don't know what it is, man. It's something enthralling about it. There's something about, it's why I love YouTube so much, man. And I'll never, I don't think, I think for the rest of my days, I will be watching YouTube. There's something about it, man. There's something about that level of connection that you can't get from other platforms you can in other ways, but it's just like there's just something about throwing a YouTube video on while you're, like while I'm editing or while I'm, working on stuff, or while I'm playing games or whatever. Yeah, I'll have that type of shit on in the background, and I don't necessarily have to be paying attention to it, but it's still just interesting to have. To hear and to have in the background. It's just so weird. I don't know. But
kind of goes into something you and I were talking about a day or two ago. I feel like I could probably have his video on in the background because of the way his videos are.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's anything I'm even halfway remotely slightly interested in, it can't be background noise. My brain will just focus on it and I'll fuck up other things.
Yeah.
Like when I'm working, I need like music is the goat. But like certain podcasts where I'm not concerned if I miss a bit of it, I can listen to that. But if it's something I'm interested in, my brain's like that only.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to work with, but his videos could work.
Yeah.
And the one I watched, he was just sitting in the rain. So you just have the nice rain sounds.
Yeah. Dude, it's so weirdly relaxing. I don't know. Like again,
I do say so myself.
If I do say so myself, fuck man. So good, man. Well, I'm really glad that you brought him up, man. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. That's another thing too, is being able to like make recommendations to your friends and be like, hey, why don't you check this shit out? It's weird. It might be fucking weird and goofy, but hey, you never know. You might like it. I know that you when I mentioned Mark Anderson, you're like, I don't get this and whatever, because I sent you a couple videos, and you were like, it's the singing guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you're like, and it's I think that there's you'd have to see some of the edits and some of the context, and it would make a little bit more sense. But it's also just, I think I'm also just really TikTok brained in that sense. Whereas like I think it's a lot easier to get Jacob fucking Jones. I don't know why.
Oh, dude, he makes sense.
Yeah.
Within 60 seconds of that video, I knew exactly what that man was about, and I knew his plan for his afternoon.
Yeah.
And he didn't deviate not an inch.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man.
Jacob fucking Jones, you want to be on Time Well Mint, bud?
You want to be on Time Well, man? Come on.
You can smoke and drink. I don't care.
Yeah,
do it outside.
Fine.
Got a good editor.
Yeah.
Kind of good editor.
Kind of. He's all right. Kind of shit sometimes. And one of the other the people that I've been really enjoying in terms of music is this guy named Jesse Wells. I don't remember if I ever showed you any of his stuff.
That rings a bell. That name rings a
bell. He's kind of a folk artist. I would say a bit of a new age folk artist. In terms of the content of his music is a lot more present day. So like he'll talk about he's got a song talking about like politics, or he's got songs talking about, one of my favorite songs that he has is called Walmart. And it's I really want to show you.
It's like
that'll be one of those things.
Music about Walmart.
Folk music about Walmart. It's listen.
Sick.
Listen, it's fucking awesome. And the guy's been making music now for probably over a decade now, but he used to make kind of more traditional rock. And then kind of switched over into more just like solo. And the thing about it is, man, is this guy, when he records, it seems like he just kind of goes out into the woods with his guitar and his camera and his microphone, just hikes out into these random places in the woods, finds a nice spot, and just records a song. And clearly he's writing all these things. He's performing he's extremely talented, man. He can play the fuck out of a guitar. And he also kind of, he has the harmonica thing. Yeah. So he can do the harmonica, and then he can whistle through his teeth, which I'm so jealous about. I don't know how the fuck people do that. But he can whistle through his teeth, which I have always found really fascinating. One of my favorite songs that he has is called Whistle Bowing, which is about the Boeing whistleblowers that died.
Whistle bowing.
Yes, it's really good. That one, and then another one is Fear is the Mind Killer. That's a fucking. These are songs that for the listeners at home.
That's metal.
They are so good. I'm gonna send you some after this. They are so good, in my opinion. And listen, his music's not for everybody, and some of it is politically charged. Some of it is, he definitely has his leanings. You can tell. And they might not be your leanings, and if that's not for you, then it's not for you, and that's all right. But I think that you'd really enjoy a lot of this. A lot of it is like the message is very easy to miss if you're not listening. That's kind of how I want to describe him. So,
hell yeah. Send him over.
Yeah, absolutely. But I wanted to wrap up with a question. Okay, so I had this question. I wrote this question down a while ago, and I want to ask you this question.
Is that going to be like this question, and then you're going to roll straight into the ending? Because I had one other thing that I want to say, and you just perfectly segued me.
No, it's an actual question, but if you want to say something, you can say it.
Okay. I did not discuss this with you prior, so cut it out if you need to.
Oh, shit.
I would recommend anybody listening and anybody out there to make sure that you're registered to vote, and vote how you see fit best. That's really all I want to say. Whatever you believe, that's up to you. Happy you are living your life, and happy you're listening to our show. Thanks. Like and subscribe. Love you. But yeah, it's really important, I think, in my opinion. Just make sure you register to vote and do that. That's all I wanted to say.
Absolutely. I agree. It's funny because I actually, I talked to my mom yesterday, and we had a very in-depth conversation about voting and the importance of it. I think that I'm kind of glad that you said that or mentioned it. You know, on this podcast, I think that Kirby and I have both discussed very heavily about the fact that we aren't ever going to get like super deep dive into politics. I think that both of us can be fairly passionate about our ideologies. I think that it will probably end up slipping through the cracks, and you can probably tell the direction that we lean.
Straight up.
And make assumptions and inferences and guesstimations, however you want to say it. You could probably tell, but you know, on this podcast, we're never going to make that the focal point. We're never going to make that the center. But it is important. It is extremely important. Go out, vote. Your vote does make a difference. Every vote counts. Every vote makes a difference.
Absolutely.
You know, and if you don't do it for yourself, do it for the next generation and the people coming after us.
People that you love.
Yeah. People that you love, people that you care about. Yeah. That's all we got to say about that.
Vote for your bros that you tell that you love.
Yes. Vote for your bros that you love. Fuck yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Oh God. Anyways, it's so funny. I did have a question for you though, before we wrap up. This is a question that came across my mind a while ago. And if you want, I can go ahead and answer first, and while you kind of think of a response. But so the question was, is there something about yourself that you were self-conscious about that you now appreciate about yourself? So to
100%.
give you an example.
So easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was a fat fuck in middle school, and it got me teased and bullied endlessly and made my life, my early teen years, what felt in the time like a living hell. Because of that, I have been much more conscious and aware of my food, my habits, etc. ever since, and I'm no longer a fat fuck. I'm not a male model or anything, but I'm far, far from a fat fuck. And I've seen some of my old bullies from middle school, and they got fat as fuck.
Yeah, suck it.
Just saying. I wish them all the best, though. You know, good vibes, and like and subscribe.
Like,
my old bullies commenting on here. I'm not liking and subscribing this shit.
And we love you.
We do.
We love you. We love you. I was gonna say, so when I was in going from 8th grade into my freshman year of high school, I had a big growth spurt. I shot up to like 6 foot. And then ended up growing about another 1.5 inches over the 4 years. But it was a really impactful thing for me, because I was, for whatever reason, super self-conscious of my height. I'm 6'1",
Really?
6'2", kind of in between there, probably 6'1.5", who knows. But it was one of the things.
6'3" on Tinder.
Yeah, 6'3" on Tinder. I'm not on Tinder. Please, I love my girlfriend.
Toilet tender.
Toilet tender. Scrolling for wiener. But I for whatever reason was just super. You know, my friends used to call me a giraffe. I don't know why. I got, weirdly enough, because I admit, this is the thing, is that once you admit a weakness in high school, people immediately pounce on it. So
painted a target on it.
Yeah. I was like, man, I fucking hate being tall. Whatever. It sucks. Having to like duck under short stuff, and like just being conscious of the fact that like when I have to look down at people every time I talk to them. But it's one of those things, man, where for the longest time, I was just like, I don't want to be tall. Fuck this. This sucks. I don't want to do this shit. Now.
I was going to say, were you self-conscious about being short before?
No. I was fine with my height up until
you were chilling. And then you were like, whoa,
then,
too tall. Stop.
Yeah. It was so weird. And I think the biggest thing is that I had that growth spurt over the summer where, you know, I was, you know, maybe 5'8", 5'9" in 8th grade, and then shot up to like 6 foot, you know, by the time my freshman year rolled around. And I was around my friends, and like, they were like, holy, what happened? What the fuck? And it was so it was just like, it was just funny, man. And I don't know why I felt so self-conscious. And again, looking back, it felt really dumb, but I've come to appreciate my height now. I really enjoy, I wouldn't say I enjoy, but I'm like, it's all right being tall. You know, it's not something I'm so self-conscious about.
So you're saying now you appreciate it, and are you insinuating that there's something wrong with being shorter than that?
No, no, not at all. I think any height is fine. I'm just saying I'm comfortable with my own height. You know what I mean? I think I'm tall enough. You know what I mean? I don't want to being any taller, being any shorter wouldn't make any difference to me. But I'm now. It's not something that bothers me anymore. Is what I mean. The
I
same
mean,
with
also
like.
that's height and weight for the most part. Does anybody give a shit after like high school?
Yeah, I don't think so. I was
I
gonna
mean,
say.
if you're like, my 600-pound life, you might get
Yeah.
some looks,
Yeah.
but especially in America, dude, everybody's got a little,
Hey, everybody's got a little chub,
just a little extra
little
fat for the
chub. You know what I
winter.
mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Keeping warm, keeping warm. Yeah, I was gonna say the other one too is my teeth. You know, I've had crooked teeth my whole life. Missed out on the opportunity to get them fixed, which I regret, but at the same time, I'm just like, it is what it is. I have a crooked smile. It's not that big of a deal anymore to me.
So cute.
It's not, and it's one of those things that like, again, I for a long time, it's harder for me because I have to floss very awkwardly. And getting my shit stuck in my teeth is always a pain in the ass, but it is what it is, man. I'm not, it's one of those things that, yeah, when I was younger, I was like, this fucking sucks, man. I would never show my teeth I would always, smile for the listeners. I'm smiling with my mouth closed, but I would always do that. Now, I don't mind. Show the crooked smile off, it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
But just those, I don't know. I was just curious about that. If there was anything like that, that you had, because it's, just
That stuff kind of makes you who you are a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was going to say it's one of those things that, you think about these sorts of things, they sort of drift around and boggle around in your mind, and sometimes you just kind of have to write it down and then talk to your buddy about it.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully you're lucky and hardworking enough and you have a podcast and you can say whatever the fuck you want on it.
Yeah. Oh God. And you know what? I think that I would love for us to sit around and say more of whatever the fuck that we want. But I think that was, and I'm pretty sure that was time well meant. I have been dialed in to this drama.
Hack door.